Today's hearing is crucial. Witness Senator Kennedy's exchange with Secretary Buttigieg, a sharp confrontation over Louisiana's LNG funding. Welcome back to Capitol Conservatives. Senator Kennedy opens with humor and sincerity, checking in on Buttigieg's kids and lightening the mood. But he quickly shifts, asking how Buttigieg decides on new federal rules, using teen driving as an example. Kennedy isn't pushing a rule, he's probing Buttigieg's decision-making process. As Buttigieg finishes, Kennedy is ready to pivot. This is why hearings matter. They reveal the logic and flaws behind agencies spending your tax dollars.
Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary. How are you babies?
Thank you for asking. They're doing all right.
As we were talking about earlier, my father used to tell me, you'll never know love until you have a child.
It's a different kind of love.
It is a different kind of love.
It's a wonderful thing.
I want to ask you a philosophical question, Mr. Secretary. How you and your team go about deciding whether to promulgate a new rule. Let me give you an example. Study after study has shown that the number of teenagers you have in a car is directly proportional to their chance of having a wreck. And we've known this for years. I'm not recommending this rule, because frankly, I don't know how I'd vote on it if it came to us. But suppose one of your team members came to you and said, look, if we promulgate a rule that you can't have, if you have a teenage driver, you can't have any other teenagers in the car with that teenage driver. How would you go about analyzing?
Kennedy's tone sharpens. He says, I want to get in one other question while I have time. That's when things heat up. Kennedy drops the real issue, LNG. He reminds Buttigieg of a 2020 law. A National Center of Excellence for LNG safety must be in the state with the highest LNG production, Louisiana. But the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration resists.
Well, in this type of case, it would likely reflect the traditional division of labor that we've had with federal government in the state, in that the federal government tends to regulate the design of a vehicle, the design of the road, and safety issues related to that physical infrastructure and the physical vehicle, while state MVs and state laws tend to regulate the conduct of the driver. So the very thing you're mentioning, for example, I think is why in some states there's a gradual approach where when you have your learner's permit, you can be behind the wheel, but there are restrictions on who could be in the vehicle with you for exactly that. I know you're asking this philosophically and not in terms of the particular policy that you're using as an illustration. To zoom out more generally, we would look, as my answer up to now might indicate, at our authorities and our responsibilities. We'd look at the data and where it leads. We'd look at what we think is likely to happen if we were to promulgate a rule like that. Then, of course, we'd get a lot of feedback. We would make sure that we have an understanding of what the different stakeholders think is important, information we might not be. Having said all of that, the truth is it's rarely the case that we imagine a rule and go out into a universe as a blank slate out what might happen around it. Usually there has been dialogue, debate, and data building up for years. It makes a potential rule rise higher on the list of a department that can only take so many regulatory steps at a time. And of course, it's also working to revise and occasionally withdraw older rules that are still on. But hopefully that gives you some sense of the approach that we would take and that we do take when we're thinking about our rulemaking authority.
Okay.
Kennedy's frustration is clear. The law is clear. Personal preference shouldn't matter. The room tightens. Buttigieg can't dodge the issue now. Buttigieg tries to stay calm, insisting he'll consult with the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration and comply with statute.
I want to get in one other question while I have time. In fiscal year 2021, in our appropriations bill, we created, we meaning Congress, a National Center of Excellence for Liquefied Natural Gas Safety. And the statute, I'll just quote it to you, it's short. Quote, in determining, this is what the statute says, in determining the location of the center, the Secretary shall, not may, but shall, locate the center in the state with the largest LNG production capacity as determined by the total capacity in billion cubic feet per day of LNG production authorized by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission under Section 3 of the Natural Gas Act as of the date of enactment of this act. That's Louisiana. Louisiana has a production capacity of 21.2 billion cubic feet.
But Kennedy isn't buying it. He wants to know why the agency won't put the center in Louisiana. Kennedy's point lands. Louisiana is number one. The law is mandatory. Kennedy closes with a simple request, if you would look at it and tell me why. Buttigieg promises to find out. For Louisiana, this means billions in production and thousands of jobs, but the federal agency still drags its feet, and senators keep demanding answers.
Your Pipeline and Hazardous Material Safety Administration doesn't seem to want to locate the center in our state, my state. Can you tell me why, if you know?
I'll have to consult with the Pipeline and Hazardous Safety and Material Administration to understand the latest on that Center of Excellence, but I can certainly tell you that we, of course, ensure any choice we make is conforming with statute, and so I'll want to make sure that whatever is underway is consistent with the law as written.
If you would look at it, I know you have a lot of things on your plate, but the law is pretty clear, and personal preference is not supposed to enter into this, and I think my state is clearly number one in production capacity, and I've noticed a determined reluctance by some of your agency folks to make this decision and put it in my state. Now, I'd much rather just have them be up front and tell me why.
I'll make sure to find out.
Thank you.
Thanks, Senator.
Senator Kennedy's sharp questioning exposes a major problem. Why isn't the LNG Center of Excellence in Louisiana, as the law commands? We'll keep watching and digging. Stay informed. Subscribe to Capital